First time we saw, well, it wasn't Superunknown yet.
Yes.
It was just Jason by himself at the
Ghosts and Grunge at Sweeney's Tavern.
It was the almost 1 year anniversary of Chris Cornell's death, and he came out and did an acoustic set. And the two of us were sitting in the audience, completely blown away, and said, as long as he's playing and singing Soundgarden songs, we will follow him wherever and go to any show, because he wasn't trying to do anything. He wasn't trying to be Chris Cornell. He just wanted to honor the music. He's fantastic.
And then he just built the best band ever.
My name's Louie. I play guitar in Superunknown, a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of lead.
Tom Laskis, bass player.
My name's Ron DiSilvestro. I am the drummer of Superunknown.
My name's Peter Heffley. My role in Superunknown is to play guitar and definitely not sing. And everybody's thankful for that too.
Let's see, I've been playing with Ron since 2008. And it got to be like 2011 or something, and Ron put a thing on Facebook and he said, hey, anyone wants to do a Foo Fighters tribute, let me know. So we did the Foo Fighters thing for a long time. And it was Ron, me, guitar player Adam Straszewski was the first one, and Mike McCarthy and Clint Davis. We were all in the group. Then Ronnie was like, hey, I'm gonna bring in Louie. So we brought Louie in, and then we just went, whoosh, took off.
I was originally in a group, tribute band for Foo Fighters called White Limo, also with Tom, the bass player, and Ron, the drummer. And we were playing a Grunge-a-Palooza one night, and Jay had been there doing an acoustic set, and then we all talked afterwards and thought it would be interesting to try it out in a, electric live sound kind of.
Still I feel shaking.
And I wound up seeing footage of Jason doing a Chris Cornell tribute just by himself with an acoustic guitar. I think it might have been the first time that he did it. And being a huge Soundgarden Audioslave Chris Cornell fan over the years, Temple of the Dog's probably one of my favorite records of all time. I just, without knowing him or anything, just messaged him directly, reached out and said, I don't know what you're up to, but you need a full band, and I'm in. You definitely need me in your band.
I was like, all right, well, it's really steep order to play and sing Cornell. And that lasted about 10 seconds. He got out and opened up acoustic. And that night, I actually got right up to him, like after his set, and I said, we're going to be your band.
So it was kind of funny that we were, at the same time, we were kind of working Jason over to be like, hey, I got a band, we can do this.
I had committed the band without telling them. So I literally called him and said, hey, we have rehearsal, and Jason from Superunknown is coming, and we're going to have rehearsal. You have to learn these 5 songs. And we got everybody in the room, and it was just right off the bat, amazing. Chemistry was there musically, personalities, sense of humor, it was like we didn't miss a beat with him.
So we learned the songs, we did it up at Ron's studio, which was Forge. And the first time he came in, Jay came in, and we're all trying to be professional. And the first thing Jay does is just takes his pants off. And we're like, okay, we know how this is gonna go. So he just drops his pants and all right, so we all relax and we play, and it was just like an instant.
I'm Jason Reed, and I am the singer and a guitar player in Superunknown.
Well, I've been watching while you've been coughing.
I started it just kind of as the idea was to do a one-off, kind of just solo acoustic, maybe open for my original band and do a half-hour acoustic set of Cornell stuff. Because I was a big fan, and when he passed away, I was like feeling nostalgic about that music again and everything. So I put together this set of music, and went out and started doing it, and it worked out. I mean, it got, it was pretty well received. So I did it for a year, just as a solo acoustic act. So I said, all right, when we get back to Philly, we'll put some time aside. We'll do a rehearsal, see how it sounds. And we did that. We ended up getting together at Forge Recording, where Ronnie was working as an engineer at the time and producer. We get together and we plowed through a set of like 5 or 6 songs. And at the end of that 5 or 6 songs, there wasn't even a discussion. It wasn't even like, oh, should we do this or not do this? It was so good that we were like, all right, I guess we have a band here. We got to figure out what to do with this. As I recall, we hit the ground running pretty quick. Like our first show was at the Underground Arts, February of 2019. Our second show was at the Queen Theater in Delaware. And then our third show, we got on a plane and flew to Honduras and played for the troops for the 4th of July. So we were in with AFE and playing decent venues right out of the gate.
Like tonight, I know they're going to blow us away with the anniversary of Superunknown.
For all the nicest guys
Nicest guys ever.
Yeah, the most humble, nicest guys, and they just love the music, and that's all that they're here for, is to honor the music.
Brett Abrams' brother-in-law. I've known Jason since he was in high school, and he's the one that actually originally turned me on to Soundgarden.
Black hole sun, Washington,
We actually went to see them together at the Electric Factory in 1996. Fast forward many, many, many years. I see on YouTube, I guess it was during COVID, they put together the video. It was ridiculous. I mean, it sounded like Soundgarden. I had been in touch when we were together as a band with some management that's managing some other, tribute acts. I put him in touch with Jason, and like the rest is history. I mean, it's just, I think, extraordinary what they've done. I don't know anyone that can do Chris Cornell. That's got to be the most difficult voice to do, and he had it.
I got the chills telling you. I got to see Temple of the Dog perform twice, back-to-back shows in Philadelphia, 6 months before Chris Cornell died. So coming to see Jason and meeting Jason and then, forming this band, is keeping Chris Cornell alive for me.
The first time I ever heard Soundgarden, I had to be between 8 to 10 years old, and I saw Black Hole Sun, the music video on MTV for the first time, and it's the first song I ever heard by them, and the video scared me a little bit at that age, but I loved all the effects of it and just the sound itself. It really drew me in.
I mean, I've been playing since, I'm 42, I've been playing since I was 16, and I've done this, and this kind of stuff, this kind of attention, selling out the Ardmore Music Hall, selling out these theaters, it doesn't happen. It only happens with the right kind of magic, and that's what Jay has, so.
Check 1, 2, check. Check if you want slice, if you want a piece.
Jason's like one of my real life superheroes. One of the first ways I got into Soundgarden was when I was like in middle school. I went to a school rock show and they did a Soundgarden show, and it blew my mind.
Ardmore has become our home base kind of venue, if you will. Yeah, it's kind of central to all of us, and we've played several shows here. This is our first time playing completely on our own. We've had opening acts here, or we've shared the night with other bands here, or played as a part of a broader show. But so tonight is the first time playing by ourselves at this venue.
Man, I can't tell you how excited I am to be playing this record. 30 years ago, this record came out, 1994. I've told you guys the story. I'm not gonna get long-winded here, but man, this is the only record I can honestly say I knew exactly where I was and what I was doing when it came out and when I first heard it.
I was doing an operation in Mogadishu, Somalia at the time. A friend of mine sent me the Soundgarden CD, Superunknown, when it came out. The day it came out, he went and bought 2 copies, one for himself, one for me, and he sent it to me. So a few weeks later, it gets to me in Mogadishu, Somalia. I opened this package up for my friend Eric Lasko. I was like, what is this? And I see it's the new Soundgarden record. So I put it in my Walkman, cranked it up and listened to it. And I think for the next 4 or 5 months, that's the only tape I listened to for that, for the duration of that trip. So definitely this record in particular, to be here 30 years later, playing the whole record from beginning to end is certainly an honor. You know, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
You know, playing here is like, you know, it's like your hometown, and and just to have a send-off like this before we go. You know, I used to work at a studio across the street, and this used to be Brownies. And I remember I used to play here in college. It was never like this. And I was like, there's no way I'm ever gonna sell out this place or whatever. But to come here and to see the reaction from people for this kind of music, because they really, they don't love it, they believe in this music. This music is not being done anymore, which is nice, which is kind of different than what we do, because you can't see this music anymore unless groups like us keep it alive.
I've spoke to people over the years that come to see us, and they share their stories and how they kind of discovered Cornell's music, with whatever band, Soundgarden or Audioslave or whatever, the solo stuff, the Temple of the Dog stuff, and all the stories that you share. And I listened to it growing up, so for me it was you know what it meant to me. I know that it meant something similar to them, and just the connection that we can provide those people. It's awesome. It's everything.
Our first show was at Underground Arts, in which we got put in front of like a huge audience, and it was a bunch of different tribute bands on the bill. So from there we went from playing like clubs with like maybe 4 or 5 bands on the bill to being a headliner in like theater shows. And it's just been nonstop ever since. And we've done like a couple of more tours. We've been to Guantanamo Bay, Singapore, Diego Garcia, which I had to actually look up because I had no clue what it was. And we're about to obviously go over to the Middle East now. So it's just been, I can't believe it at times, where the traction the band got from day one, and it doesn't really seem like it's slowing down right now.
Why do you feel this might be important to service members, you know, not just only service members, but sometimes, you know, the service members here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious people want to, when you're in such a remote location, far from home, to have any piece of home or any reminder of what it was like to be home, or what it was like, you know, like I said, to bring you back to a time in your life, whether it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And music does that. It transports people. I served in the Middle East 30 years ago. We went to Gitmo and played for the troops in Gitmo. I served in Gitmo 30 years ago. So, you know, as a young guy in my 20s, I used to go and, you know, deploy to these bases and do operations in these countries. And now, you know, fast forward 30 years, I'm in my 50s, and I'm still traveling all around the world, but in this much different capacity. And yeah, that's been amazing. Having been in their shoes as a 20-year-old Marine who's stationed, who's deployed to somewhere he's never been before. I know that feeling, and sometimes there's a feeling of, do people back home even know what we're doing, or how hard we're working on behalf of America and things like that, and it feels a little isolating sometimes. So here we come, the 5 of us, civilians, we represent home to them, you know, and we come and we're like, hey, show us what you're doing. What's your operation? What's your training like? What are you guys doing? And they can't wait to tell us, because it's like, finally, oh, somebody back home cares to hear our story and hear what we're doing out here in Diego Garcia or Guantanamo Bay or wherever it happens to be. So yeah, I think there's a cool component to not just what we do on stage with interacting with the service members, but off stage too.
The biggest thing for us, and I think it's unanimous with the band, I mean, we enjoy the travel and the camaraderie within the band and performing, but the service members are just absolutely so happy and, you know, appreciative for us making the travel to come over and see them, because a lot of these bases are deployed bases that are, they're a bit isolated, and just to be able to go back, go to them and bring a little slice of home is the most rewarding thing.